Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wild Woman, a podcast that I started a few months back, and it's been just such a joy to do it. I'm getting to interview lots of interesting women from all over Ireland and all over the world, women who I believe I call wild women because to me, it's women who are very in their feminine and they're nurturing and intuition and creativity, but they're also very strong women who are following their hearts and their truth and they're standing up for what they believe in and just living life on their terms. And I'm just learning so much from them and from those of you who are listening. I believe you are too, from what I've heard back. So today I'm really excited to introduce Gráinne Kelleher from Lahinch in County Clare. And Gráinne, which I'll let her introduce herself now in a moment, she's a beautiful artist that I met in 2021 in Doolin in County Clare, a place that I think is calling me. I was down there last Sunday with a friend, and I actually ended up talking to another woman, a Canadian woman I'll be doing a podcast with soon, and she's going to be doing a marathon down to Doolin. And I had someone else tell me about moving there as well. So there's lots of connections with Doolin. But I met Gráinne there in 2021 at a beautiful creative event called Saoirse, which means freedom in English. And it sort of attracted those sort of people, free spirits, I believe. So Gráinne, thank you so much for coming on today.
No problem. Thanks for
yeah,
having
lovely.
me.
No, delighted to have you. So just to start, what I do with most people is just to maybe, as I said, Gráinne is a fantastic artist, and maybe we'll just start maybe talking a little bit about your background growing up and maybe what led you to being an artist today. Were you always an artist? I'm sure you were.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Lisdoonvarna originally, but living in Lahinch now. But no, I suppose I was always an artist. I think like artists are always artists, but it's just in us, you know. But when I was younger, when I was a child growing up in Lisdoonvarna, like my mother would say, you know, that I'd always like be painting all the walls in the room and you know, always painting as a child. Like I just got such comfort in it or something. Obviously, I just loved it. But as I grew up and I left school, I didn't go on to go to art college. I actually done a beauty therapy course and then went on there to do a business course and then so on and so forth. Like so I ended up working in an office in electronics and I'm still there. But yeah, so I suppose really I had two kids, got married, went through all the whole thing of, you know, just always like going with kids as they're younger and not sleeping and blah blah. So I never really had time for art or even thought about it, quite honest with you. It wasn't something that entered my head. But as I suppose the kids were getting a bit older and I was heading into my 40s, I'd say at the time, I started to kind of get this, I don't know what you call it, awakening or something, you know, something that was in me that was kind of going, something's calling me, but I didn't know what it was at the time, but I knew I needed to be doing something else with my time. So I suppose I kind of took it from there then and I said, you know, like I found myself going out walking a lot and going into nature and, you know, just kind of finding peace in that. I obviously as an artist, I suppose I'm an overthinker anyway. So like, you know, being out in nature is a natural thing for me to do is, you know, just kind of find peace there. But I suppose when I was out in nature and finding the energy from trees, I almost became a, you know, like it's funny to say, but like almost a tree hugger, you know, like I used to find like the energy of walking, you know, beside trees and beside nature. Like I found the energy was amazing and I'd always feel great after it. So I started maybe kind of thinking after that, like, you know, where is this energy coming from and where else can you, you know, source energy from? And I started reading up on energy. I suppose I didn't even know whether it was energy at the time, but I knew there was something there that you couldn't see, but I could feel it, you know. So I started reading up about Reiki and I done Reiki 1. But even after that, I like a lot of people go from Reiki 1 onto Reiki 2. And maybe some of them go faster than others. But I was kind of hesitant to go into Reiki too. I was like, there's still something else. Maybe there's something I need, to move with Reiki. Maybe it's like essential oils or, all that sort of thing. So I started looking into essential oils and the doTERRA oils and all that, and finding the properties of healing within those. And I thought I'd incorporate that in with the Reiki, I did start to kind of maybe a business from there. But then I kind of pulled back. I was like, no, there's still something, like nothing was making me go on and do that Reiki too. So I just kind of pulled back from the whole thing for a while. And then I was in Aldi one day and I was just doing a bit of shopping, and I could see there was like all this, there was art stuff, there was paints and canvases. And I was just like, I remember looking at it going, oh my God, like I felt like a child in a sweet shop or something. I was like, geez, these are so cool. And so I put some into the basket and I brought them home, and I found an hour to myself and I sat down and I started painting, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like all of a sudden, I was exactly where I was, if you know what I mean. Like it's hard to explain it, but sometimes I'm constantly, up in the air, up, flying around the place with my thoughts, and I'm always somewhere else. I'm never exactly where I am. Even at work, I could be thinking about something as I'm kind of going through, or even if I'm driving, I'd be thinking about something else. But like when I'm painting, I'm literally, like I found I was literally in that room looking at the art, and I was actually painting, and I was exactly there. I was nowhere else. I was thinking of nothing else. It was the only thing I've ever tried that I was right there. Like I've tried walk and Reiki, obviously, I've tried yoga, all these things, meditation, to just kind of lie there in meditation and kind of go, all right, I'll stop all these thoughts or whatever. But no, this was it. I was completely grounded. Like I was there, and that was it. So I haven't stopped since. And that was about I'd say it was about 5 years ago. But like I kind of just started doing bits of paintings for myself. So basically, I think what I was doing was I was kind of taking my own feelings and putting them down on the canvas rather than having to kind of write down. People say, oh, write down your thoughts, and it helps you kind of work through things. Whereas I am no good to write down my thoughts. I just never got that. But certainly I think my thoughts was coming through into the canvas, and I was painting, I suppose, whatever I was feeling, I was painting it at the time. Then I started posting some of them on Instagram because I felt like, all right, sure, nobody really, like, it didn't as if like my Instagram followers were people, they were people that I kind of admired, almost, but they weren't really close friends or family of mine. They were artists and people that I liked looking at, like photographers and all that sort of thing. So I just started throwing up my art on that. But all of a sudden I started, I suppose, getting followers from that, and artists started commenting saying they actually liked my paintings, and I was like, oh, it's like this is amazing. Like, I wasn't expecting any great feedback from it. So
could I just ask you, you'd no fear around that? So once you started painting and you said you were just in it and painting, the way people like, oh my God, I can't show that, but you obviously, you
I know,
so in it, you just
I had a huge fear because, like, I still think that, and I still feel it. I feel this like imposter syndrome sort of a thing going on, that like when I call myself an artist, I feel like I'm lying or something, like I don't, like it's so strange to actually say those words, especially when you've been kind of doing something else for most of your life. Like have I got the cheek to call myself an artist when I didn't go to artist college? So I did have a fear, I suppose, of putting my stuff up and getting maybe, like, I suppose, comments from artists that would have been to art college, and would I have got negative feedback. I think I was almost not bothered too much if I did get negative feedback, because you can just hit block it, and so I was like, okay, well, I can deal with this, I'm an adult. But at the same time, when I did start getting good feedback, I was going, oh my God, like, it's so important to actually give support to artists, like, that they were always there, they're supporting me, and I have kind of followed on now, making sure that I always support artists, especially when they're starting off, like, but even at that, I think even if you are in art for a long, long time and like you're selling your paintings for like a couple of grand, like each painting, like I think they deserve to be told that their art is good too, especially by another artist. It's all right, saying, oh yeah, somebody wants to buy your stuff, but like for another artist to actually say, oh, I really like your stuff, it means an awful lot. Like, so I'm a huge believer in supporting other artists out there, and everyone, supporting everyone with whatever they're into. Like, yeah.
Well, I've noticed that about you on Instagram with me or anyone. I can just see, and it does mean so much. Like you said, even for someone who's a very experienced or maybe years as an artist, you're always probably expected then, okay, am I expected now that I have to go another level, or can I match what I did? So I suppose we all need that support, don't we? We all need that sort of.
We do. I actually joined this creative circle down in Glore. It's on once a month, and
in Ennis, isn't it?
Yes, in Ennis, yeah. And geez, like it was amazing to go in there, and be in that circle of people and listen to their stories, because they were all artists coming in of all sorts. There's photographers, sculptors, everything, but they all had that same thing, like, oh, they trying to say out, oh, I'm an artist, or whatever it is. It's kind of like, yeah, do you know what? Is it an Irish thing or something that we just were afraid to kind of give credit to whatever creativity is around us, that we're told to kind of, the head down. And I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the serious sort of business of life. And I don't know, I maybe it's our ancestors and things were tougher and you to get on with it and earn a living. And that's for sort of people who can afford to do nothing.
Yeah, can be fairy about life.
Yeah.
And call it a job, like the cheek.
And what did you find from the group? So how does it work? I'm always just interested in those sort of circles. Do you just sit and share, or do you show your work, or how does it work?
Well, what we do is we kind of, each person is, because every time it's once a month, so like each month somebody new would be in the circle. Like, it's amazing. It's somebody's always joining in it. We might have missed somebody, 1 or 2 weeks or whatever, they come back again. There's no pressure for you to go every month, but so there's always somebody new in the circle, so we'd always reintroduce ourselves and say who we are and what we do. And I think by that fact of reintroducing ourselves each time, it kind of gave us all a bit of confidence as well. And kind of, we were constantly saying, it was like going to an AA meeting or something. It's like, I'm an artist.
I can finally admit it.
Yeah, exactly. So it got easier each month. And I think it has actually, and a few of us have said it has helped us, kind of go, oh yeah, I am, and I deserve to have this label, whether I went to college or I didn't go to college. And like, even people who had gone to our college, like, they were maybe out of it a few years, had kids, didn't feel like they were an artist any longer either. So it was, it was an eye-opener, I think, really.
And do you show your work there? Like, is that part of it, that you'll say, oh, this is something I'm working on? Or is it just the fact that you talk about yourself?
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't. I've never actually physically brought in my art, but I would say what type of artist I was, and if I was working on something, I'd explain. Now we are, I think, going to start doing that. Like we did mention, the last one was that like it would be a good idea to bring in your art when it isn't fully done, and get kind of people to make a comment on it. Kind of say, well, maybe you could go this way with it or that way or what. Because it's very hard to bring in a finished product and show it to a load of artists and ask them then to comment on it, because you don't want any negative, nobody wants anything negative. But like, I think if you're bringing it in halfway through, you're quite willing to kind of go, all right, I'll listen to you there. I think maybe a darker color there or something, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because I would have thought that if you're in the midst of the process yourself, and you're sort of, because it is coming from you, it's your work, whatever way it's inspired, that someone else coming in and saying, gosh, would you do this? I don't know, does that,
Yeah,
I
it
suppose you
can,
have to
like
be
it
quite
can,
brave to
like
do
it
that
can
too.
be. Yeah, it can. Like, I don't know. We all kind of had a bit of a laugh about it as well, because we were going, geez, how would we take other people's reactions, and then would we feel bad about it coming back? But at the same time, I think you have to kind of, I feel like, if you get something negative or something about it, you might like it at the time, but you can sit with it and kind of go, well, actually, sometimes it plants a seed and it'll lead to something else. So
Yes. You've
I,
built up obviously a certain amount of trust with each other, that
yeah,
that what people are saying is, constructive, or it's meant
yeah, and
well.
like that's kind of going back to energy again, really. It's just like,
Mm,
I think there was such a good energy in that room,
mm,
whatever it was. Remember when we met in
mm.
Doolin as well? Like,
Yeah,
it's like the energy that
yeah,
everyone was there, and we all knew, for some reason, we just knew that we were all there to support each other,
yeah.
and that there was no negativity in that room. And I
Mm,
think down in Glory, it's very much the same. There doesn't seem
yeah.
to be any form of negative. I think I think as we get older, it's important that we kind of trust our intuition about
Mm,
with our energy,
yeah,
especially women,
yeah.
because I feel like, I always had a really good intuition growing up as a child. I just always had it. But I feel as I'm getting older, and I don't think this is just me. I think most women, as they get into their 40s, it doesn't get stronger, or am I just thinking this? It's like your intuition gets really strong. And I don't think this is something that's in my head. I honestly do think that,
Yeah.
the way, like we say, the menopause, and we were afraid to call it the menopause. And years ago, they used to call it, the change. They're going through the change. But I actually do like that kind of term, because going through the change is like literally, I find that very acceptable as a woman, because you are going through a change. Like, I don't even like labeling it as menopause, because it isn't kind of like it's not like having cancer or something. It's like
Yeah.
it shouldn't be
Yeah.
a label put on it. It's
Yes.
like your body is going through a natural change, and
Mm,
and I know we do need help, like, and we all need to support each other and accept that, this is a natural trouble, but but like, I do like the kind of the word saying going through the change, because you get an intuition, and then we're
yes.
kind of doubting our intuition, whatever it is. Like,
Mm,
we keep doubting ourselves that we
mm,
know what's ahead of us, or that our gut instinct, we
mm,
keep, I don't know how many times I've been kicking myself saying, well, why didn't I trust my gut there now? Because I know now I could have done without this mistake, because I know I was right thinking at the beginning, but saying
mm.
that, I suppose you have to make a few mistakes in your life too, but
But a
yeah,
lot of the world, I suppose, I feel that the same as well. I think it's shifting. I think it can be an age thing with women, but I also think there's a shift on the planet. Like when you talk about the energy, I would have always felt it. I feel it even more now. And I think it's, when you described when you sat down with the canvas that you bought in Aldi, and you said before that you were sort of up in your head and in your thoughts and over and back and in the future and the past. And I would be like that at times as well. Certain things like nature will bring me back into my body,
mm,
but I think a lot of that it's coming back. We've sort of been conditioned to be more in our heads in the world. And I think I think that's the big shift. The way we hear a lot about
yeah,
this divine feminine energy rising on the planet, and how I see it is it's coming back into balance. Like nature is coming back into balance. We've been out of balance. We're part of nature. And
yeah,
so come into our bodies, like you described with your painting, you're back just in the now, like, and that is where the energy is. Like the energy, your own energy isn't in the future, in the past. It's now. It's powering you now. So you're going to feel it more, aren't you? Like there's part of that happening as well.
there
The more
is.
you become present. I know I do Reiki more now, but I'm feeling to use something else as well. And
Mhm.
the more I'm doing it, the more I'm feeling, well, you need to do this and you need to bring this in, and
Yeah,
I'm being a bit more intuitive with it, and
yes,
color, and I use bowls, but the more I do that, the more I'm trusting it, and the more it's coming alive. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of,
yeah,
So I think it's a lot of what you're saying. I think women, men and women have it, but I think as women, we do have it naturally more. And I've been reading recently about the womb energy. I don't know if you've...
Yes, that's funny now you said that, Celine, because, you know, as I was going through my kind of thoughts today, and I was going, I thought of the womb today, and I was going, geez, you know, I said, maybe there's something in the womb that us women seem to have. Now, at the same time, I don't want to keep banging on about women and supporting women and blah, 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 because I find like we do need to be there to support men as well. Like, absolutely. I think there's a lot of this also, women supporting women, blah, blah, blah. And I think we need to be supporting men. Like who's there for the men, you know, who's supporting the men? And we are nurturers, you know, naturally. So I do.
Isn't that the balance? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, because I'm a big believer, even talking about the womb. And I was just listening to something today, and it was a man in the interview as well. And it's saying the womb, yes, women physically have wombs, but we all come from a womb. And they're talking about the womb of the universe, of where things are birthed. And okay, women physically give birth. Now, I didn't give birth, but it doesn't matter. You can still birth energies and ideas into the world, as do men. So this isn't about, I would never say, because men have feminine energy in them, but it's more, isn't it the balance as well? Because when I listen to a lot of people, different people, and, you know, they talk about, well, if as you said there, women who are, you know, it's naturally in us to be nurturing and caring. So to nurture and care for men. And then men can be their role, which is often talked about, you know, the divine masculine, the container, the safety, the solidity, and the two go together. And we both have all of them in us. Like we both have both in us. Like we need to be strong for ourselves. So like you said, I don't believe it's, you know, we're going to embody one thing more than the other because we came in a male or a female body. But we do need both, don't we? Yeah,
we do. I think we do need to kind of start, like, there has been a lot of support for women, supporting women lately. And even with the, you know, the Barbie movie, I was like, when I was watching that, I don't know, did you see it?
I didn't, but no.
Yeah, I was kind of watching and I was going, geez, there's a bit of male bashing going on here. Like, you know, and I mean, I don't think, like, obviously there was good points, you know, for women to kind of say that we, you know, we have come through such a, you know, like back in the day, obviously we wouldn't have been bosses or anything, you know, in jobs. But I just felt like there was a little bit of it that was like, oh yeah, it was all this women's sport, but I felt like the poor Kens of the you know, the world were getting bashed, you know. And I just feel like maybe we could all come together a little bit more and kind of just to have more of like everyone supporting everyone, kids, you know, family, you know.
And is your group, because like I find in this, the reason I interview women is probably just because I am a woman and it just came to me, but it's not. There's a guy actually I know, he worked in, if he is listening to this, I met him in a holistic shop in Galway. He's an astrologer, a really young guy. I was really impressed with him. Like I said, wow, at your age and you know what you're about. And he moved to Spain and he told me he's listening. He said, I hope you don't mind. I know it's for women. I said, no, it's not for women really. But it's just, I think because it's something in me that's like what you described there, the energy is coming alive and it's sort of trying to share that to encourage women, but it's also there for men too. It's, you know, but as a woman, I suppose I'm exploring that, but they sort of go together, because I think if women, like you described there, finding your art, just be interested. I know you're married and you have 2 children. So you found your passion in this way creatively. I mean, that obviously, has that had an influence on then your relationship and your family life, or how does that it must change things?
Oh my God, it totally did. Like, I must say, you know, I don't know, does everyone go through this? But you know, like, I met Joe when I was 17, you know, so we've been together throughout all our life. But like, I mean, you don't stay the same person the whole time as you're growing up. Like, I mean, it's impossible, you know, so there's a lot of ups and downs, you know, goes on. But I think he kind of got a bit afraid as I was kind of starting to find my own self, you know, and he was like, oh, what's gonna, like, you know, and there was a lot of arguments around that time. It was kind of like, all right, you're going off up there now, you're doing kind of, and like, he didn't intentionally mean it that way, but I think it was kind of like, there was a little, you could kind of sense a fear in it.
Wasn't that, like, you might, you know, not that he'd lose you in that sense, but part of you, because this is.
But in a way, he kind of did lose a part of me in a certain way, because I was starting to actually feel that it was okay to allow myself my own space. And I wasn't one of these people that was kind of good on my own. Like I feel like well I can be an introvert at times, and I can be an extrovert at times. Like I'm almost like this ambivert, you know, like this, like a bit of both.
I love that. Never heard that one before.
Yeah, so like yeah, so I just felt like this, you know, I think when I started kind of finding my, you know, feel more comfortable on my own and spending a couple of hours on my own, he was kind of going, geez, this one wants to spend time on her own. Like, what's she up to? Like, is it just art?
Has she taken a fancy man?
Yeah, exactly. It can't be just this art. But it's really is about loving yourself, you know, and you do fall in love with yourself, you know, and like I suppose maybe throw them in your life, you know, and this is very important to say to women, I think, because don't feel guilty for giving yourself time. Like, you know, people have children, we all have our thing, right? Like there's an amount of women out there running around the place with their kids, going to this, that, and the other thing, and they suddenly feel this guilt over them, like if they decide to do something for themselves. I don't think we should feel that pressure. Like, why do women feel that pressure and men don't? You know, like I just don't know why we do it to ourselves. But I'm kind of going, no, hold on a minute, I actually will give myself this time now. So, you know, like, so you're getting stronger too as you get older, and you are kind of going, no, so I did change, I suppose. It did kind of take effect in that way. But now I think Joe's starting to kind of understand me a bit more and kind of go, all right, no, she's just, you know, just doing her thing now, you know. But it does, it takes time, you know, as like for any women listening today that feel like they want to take up something else, or they're only starting off in their creative process, like, know that there will be ups and downs, and that, you know, the men in our lives, if they're strong enough, they'll actually support us for a finish.
Yeah.
Which Joe does now, in fairness, he does.
Oh, very good. And like that, but I suppose that is the mix of the divine. I just say the divine feminine and masculine. I just like that it's not just the masculine and the feminine, it's the energies of, you know what I mean, that we have them within us. So it's how they sort of come into balance. Like, would you have had, like, when you're going through it or starting up, did you sit down and have a conversation with them? Or have you seen how, say, if you were going through a really difficult part of the process, or you were blocked or something, would you ever talk to him about it? Or how did you sort of,
well, it was
how did you
weird,
see his
actually.
support?
You know, I think I actually kind of blocked. I thought actually that they wouldn't have like that, you know. Well, I didn't really talk to Joe or anyone about what I was doing, even my friends, actually, because I felt like I was kind of on my own for a while. I felt very lonely for a long time, because it was like a new me, and I felt like I was that, obviously that imposter syndrome came out in me again, but I felt like I was doing something I shouldn't be doing, or that I don't know. So it took me a while to kind of open up and going, oh, well, this is me, you know.
But isn't that part of it, when you're finding a new part of yourself or going into something new? You sort of have to be on your own, isn't it? Like, it's like when we talk about the womb again, birthing something new. So this is a newer version of you, or you know, maybe a more truer version of yourself, or it's another stage of your life that you sort of have to do certain things we do have to do alone, don't we?
Yeah. Like, I felt that's why I started on Instagram posting you know, like, because they weren't people that knew me, like, as such, if you know what I mean. They kind of knew you know, the Instagram me or whatever. But yeah, so then when actually, I think it was around COVID time, when, you know, when you get that time to kind of think a bit more about what you're going to do in moving forward, or wherever you're going to go. And I decided to actually post a few of them on Facebook, which was kind of like, you may as well be handing one over to your neighbor, or, you know, your friend at work. And I was going, what are they going to think of me at all? Like, they're going to say, where does this lady think she's going? Like, you know, posting her art. But like, geez, I was so surprised that the support I got was unbelievable. And like, without them, I wouldn't be still doing art today. Like, you know, it's constant, like there's constant support and there's constant, well, even commissions now, like people are asking, oh God, like I post one and they'd say, oh God, I like that cottage, would you do this cottage? You know, and it kind of went from there, like this dog, you done that dog, you know. So I think that's the way my art is taken now. It's kind of taken its own path in, like it's gone from my feelings on it, but it's gone to me.
And how would you describe, sorry, because I was just thinking some people could be listening and some people could be watching. So, but even just, yeah, if you describe, now say if you were introducing yourself like you did in the group, how would you describe your art, or how would you describe yourself as an artist?
Yeah, I suppose I would say that I'm a visual artist, maybe. Like really what I get. But then I'd be very much a spiritual artist. I find there's a kind of a spirituality in my art as well, because, well, first of all, I did start off in kind of painting fairies and all that sort of thing. I did, you know, that was kind of the route I was taking at the beginning. I don't know whether that was the kind of spiritual route I was going from the Reiki into the thing, but and maybe that's what grasped people's eye in the first place. But I do find a lot of my art is kind of, you know, somebody might feel like they have a connection to a piece of land, or they might have a connection to their father might have passed, and you know, like, or a friend might have passed. And I have got a few, like a lot of those type of photos of people. Would you paint this? You know, this is my you know, this is my friend that has passed away, and this was our last holiday, or, you know, this. So I've got a couple of those lovely ones, and honored to get them, to quite honest with you. But yeah, I just feel like it isn't just, I'm not just smacking out, you know, a certain thing, you know, like that there is something in it. And maybe that's what, like, I feel, I keep saying every month, you know, oh God, this is going to stop. Like people will stop asking me, you know, to do, but maybe that is because maybe it hasn't stopped because I'm in the right path, or that there's some, you know, that is my job really, to kind of be there for people and take their thoughts or their love for something and ask them to do it. Is that my job in this world? I think it is. I think that's, I finally found it. But I think everyone has that. I think everyone, like, it isn't just, you know, I'm not just saying, oh God, yeah, this is me, like, but like, I think every single person in the world has their thing that they're actually here for.
Yeah.
Whether it's to be just a mother to your kids and traveling everywhere, or whether it's to, you know, be like a designer, or whatever it is that's creative in your own mind.
Yeah.
Like, just use it, and to know that but if you're out there feeling like there's something else, well, then there is, you know, and look for it. And it's obviously, and it's something creative. If you're feeling stuck, it's definitely something creative, I think, because every single person is creative, like in their own way.
Sure, we come from creative energy of whatever you want to call that, don't we? You know, it's different for everybody. But I had that conversation with someone in a shop today going, well, you know, and it wasn't even about God or whatever you want to call it, this energy that we all know keeps us alive. And I said, well, we're not powered by batteries as far as I know. So there's something else. You know?
There is. Yeah.
You know, and it's funny, you sort of go, it's even to have that conversation sounds weird to me. Like you go out into nature, like you described at the beginning. If you were, you know, when you were saying there, when you were at the early stages of what is this and going out to nature and the trees, and I found that is what led me to start writing as well, and now other things in my life, because isn't it sort of that nature is, we are of nature, we are nature. So it brings you back to who you are, doesn't it? Because most of us have gone away from it through life and maybe our work or.
Oh, there's definitely, like, there's a higher power. I don't know. You don't have to call it God. You don't have to call it whatever it is. Like, you know,
whatever floats your boat.
But there is a higher power. Like, I mean, there's definitely something out there that we can't see, but we can feel. And everyone can feel it. Like, you know what? You know, I even had a conversation today at work. That I was saying to the lads, you know, that I was looking out at the trees yesterday around, you know, the area here around home, and I noticed there was like so much red berries on the trees, and I hadn't seen this now in a long time. Like, I don't think I ever seen the red berries that are in the trees around us actually now as red. And I was going for a walk up along the country road, and everything at the side of the road was red one day. And I even done a post on it. I was like, it's red, everything was red. It was red berries of all sorts. And actually there was a few random apple trees that have started randomly growing with red apples on it. But no, I just heard actually that, I don't know whether how true this is now, but I heard we're going to have a really cold winter, like from November onto January, we're going to have a really cold winter. And is this like nature's way of preparing, for the birds or whatever? Like if we just go outside and look around, the signs are there. We're just like ignoring them, we don't need a weatherman telling us that it's going to be cold, or we don't need, like, there's signs there the whole time.
Yeah. But isn't that part of maybe just being, I don't know, I'm a big now, like, very much about this whole thing of coming out of the head and into the body, that's where, where your intuition, that's where you know what to do, that's where your safety is, that's where your creativity, that's where everything is, like. And rather than, as you said, going, oh my God, if I'm up in my head, it's like, what's going to happen next? And who's going to tell me this or that it sort of keeps you in sort of a fear state, because everything we hear is generally bad news, isn't it? It's like usually, my God, the next drama coming down the tracks.
It's just so bad. Like, it went from COVID, and then it went to climate change, and now it's this AI thing that's going on. And like, there is a kind of a fear, I suppose, this artificial intelligence thing that is going on now. And I do have a fear about that, because I'm kind of going, Jesus, what do I take from that as an artist? Like, how is that going to affect me? Like, is there going to be random people going out there and taking the work out of artists and kind of going, oh yeah, here, paint, a woman up by the cliffs, and suddenly it's there. Just kind of wondering, like, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe, like, maybe I'm just being old-fashioned. Like, maybe this is the way. Maybe artists will come out, because we've always said with art, like, that, art is art. Like, it's always art, whether you do a scribble or whether that's art. Like, don't be, don't be like being, I don't know, prejudiced about it, towards people. So maybe it is art if you're kind of going, oh, well, put that blue, that person blue there. And if you're speaking into something and suddenly it does become a beautiful piece of art, is that not art as well? I don't know. Like, should we be just kind of taking in our ease, or should we be, I get anxiety though, like, thinking about these artificial intelligence. Yeah, I do.
But the other side, and I don't know either, is I feel like I went down to see another artist, Jo Gráinne, who I met. She had an exhibition ending in Nina, and I went down just on the last day. It was nearly over, and going around, and I was just saying to her, I just got this real feeling looking at all of her paintings. And she was saying, I'm sure, like you and a lot of artists, it's sort of the feeling you want. You said there, you have people coming to you, and whether it's about a loved one or an animal, the feeling that you evoke. And that, to me, can only come through another human, and yes, well, maybe a human programs the AI. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I don't think anything can compete with the human soul, or whatever this energy is that powers us all. I mean, I personally don't want to be going out with any sort of an AI on a date with an AI man or something.
Yeah, no. That'll be just pushing it a bit too far.
That's fine. I won't be marrying one of them, but maybe they're in our midst and we don't know.
Maybe they might be Mr. Perfect. Who knows? They might be. They do all the key.
Maybe they'll give you all the space that you need. But no, but it's so. But like, when you talk there, just, that's really interesting. I just wanted to go back to, because when you said when you were a child, and because I think as a child, we instinctively know all of this, and we're, you see a child and they're in the moment, and they're not planning ahead. They're just with what they're doing. So you were naturally, you said painting and drawing then. Do you feel like, was that, I mean, obviously it was in you, was that part of your way maybe as well of dealing with life, or how we use to sort of process things that were going on for you that you maybe couldn't make sense of?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I still, like, I definitely think we all have something that we use to kind of escape, or to maybe,
but that's, like, a healthy thing.
yeah. Like, and it's, I mean, even, you see people in the gym a lot, and fair play to them. And I like, I think that maybe is their thing and the art is my thing, and somebody else has something else. And like, there should be no judgment. Like, nobody should be judging anyone. Like, everyone has their thing. We all have our thing, is what I'm saying. Is like, that I'm not going to be sitting here talking about, too much about the art side of it, but like everyone is an artist in their own way. And
well, that's it,
whether it's going to the gym, or whether it's, doing art, or whether it's something else, swimming or whatever does it for us. Let's just support each other and do it,
Yeah. Because aren't we all? Well, I feel like that. What do they say? There's some saying we're all the artists of our own life. Like, we are, because at the end of the day, we're the one who makes the choices.
Yeah.
Like, you make the choice to go back and sit down with your art, as you said, and there's no levels to what is better or worse. Aren't we here? The way I sort of see it is like, we're here to express whatever. You had said that. You said it so beautifully there about, your purpose in life being, if you were here to help people, through expressing whatever it is, their love for someone else or their loss, that you do it through your art. And everybody has something unique to offer. I just noticed from talking to women maybe who are, like you said, married, children, lots of responsibilities, and maybe hit a certain point, which is that maybe change, where something, I didn't have the same demands on me, but other cancer sort of came in for me. That was the way of saying, you need to start, you're not living as you are meant to, and you need to change your life. So it can be different things for different people, but you're balancing a lot. So I've heard people saying, well, I don't have time, or I'll put that off for a few years. Like, what would you say? Because you did it while you have 2 young children as well, don't you? They're fairly young.
I don't know how many people, a lot of people have said to me, but how do you fit it all in? Like, how do you do it all? And at the beginning, I won't lie, I was literally, doing it all the time, weekends, whatever. I was trying to fit everything in. I was getting, like, I started getting commissions, and then I was like, geez, I was almost firing them out like it was a conveyor belt, and I had such pressure. I remember one Christmas, I was like, I don't know, firing them out, and I was going, what am I doing here? Like, why am I putting myself under such pressure? Like, and I think that's an artist thing to do as well. We're constantly beating ourselves up and saying we should be pushing ourselves, doing this, doing that. We should say yes to everything. And I didn't know how to say no. No, and I'm still not saying no, because I still think when somebody asks me to do something, I just think it has come from the God above. And, yes, I'm delighted to take it on. But at the same time, I'm starting to kind of go, well, this is going to take me a month. So I give myself a month now to do a piece of art. And, I'll say you'll get it in a month. Because if I don't have time for my kids. I don't have time for cleaning the house. I don't have time for going out with my friends. I don't have time for fun time, walks, everything. And I want everything. I want it all. Like, I want to be with my family. I want to be able to go out for a few drinks. I want to be able to relax the following day after being out for those few drinks and being able to chill out. Like, I want to be able to be there for my kids, watch a movie with them. I want all of it, but you can't do it all at one time. You have to say, give yourself time, slow down, do it at your own pace, do whatever you love in your own pace, and don't be constantly saying, oh, I need to have this painting out. I need to be constantly pushing myself. I need to have the next one out. I need to have, you know this yourself. You feel like if you haven't posted something in a couple of days about what you're doing, like, it's kind of like you feel like you're lost, or you're going to be forgotten.
Or you're being true to yourself. I think, like you said earlier, when you went to that group, we all, and I'm noticing that now, and I'm feeling it's even happening faster than it used to, that it is all energy, it is all frequency, and the effort, like I used to be effort, do. Now people are just turning up and things are happening, and it doesn't mean you spend 5 hours working really hard. The opportunity doesn't always, that isn't the way I feel we're meant to live. Like, if you look at the rhythm, go back to nature, the way nature just has the cycles, there's seasons, there's stop, just exactly what you described. Like, we're not machines.
No.
Isn't it? We're sort of brought back to this very, like, I lived like a machine. I got cancer. I was taken out. I had to learn again what it is to be human, I suppose, and live as we're meant to live. How would you describe, or can you describe, the sort of process you go through in developing a piece of art? Like, is there sort of those seasons and stages in it?
There is. Like, I mean, literally, there's a lot that goes on in the background that I suppose people don't understand or know. Like, I mean, first of all, you've been asked, you starts off with a text message from somebody saying, how much is this? How much would it cost or whatever? And you have to suddenly become this person that is able to cost stuff, and I was like, how do I even put a price on my work? Like, even I battled with that for a long time. I'm still battling with it. Like, my family say, God, you're a pure eat, sometimes, for like, you almost give that painting away. But I kind of haven't trying to have this balance. I have my job, that I do feel like is what I need to support, my family and the house that we live in and blah, blah, blah. But like, this was always my hobby. The art was my hobby. So, and I don't want to lose it as a hobby. I don't want it suddenly to become a job for me, because when it becomes that job, then it becomes a pressure on me. Then it turns into something else. So I still wanted to feel like I'm doing something to get away, to escape, to relax. I feel like if I start kind of going down the route of like overpricing things and actually making it a proper living, I'm not saying overpricing, no, that's the wrong word actually, because like with artists that are an artist full time and that don't have another job, they literally have to like treat it as, this is an hour that I'm working and I'm going to get paid this amount for this hour, whereas I feel like and they should totally do that, but I'm going to hold on to my job and maybe not take that hour as an hour, but take it as an hour of my relax time, and then kind of just not, put a price on it at the end, not make it a kind of a reasonable price for people that, like myself, that wouldn't be able to afford a huge amount for a piece of art. And that's what I feel I need to do. Like, I don't want to be judged by other people. I don't judge other people for spending, for pricing their work, because I understand they have to make living out of it. But this is my way of doing it. Like, this is, and I don't think I'm being a fool for doing it that way. I feel like it's keeping me at a kind of I feel better by just kind of, maybe like, I'll take the price of the canvas, starting from your question, what you asked me there, Celine, like it'll start from that, like, first of all, how much is it? So what I'll do is I'll, take whatever amount of paints I need for that. I'll take into the fact that I have to get somebody to make a frame for me, and I have to pay them. I have to pay for the canvas that goes on the frame. All of this kind of plays into a fact that not a lot of people take into a factor when they're asking you for, how much is it? And then you're putting a month's work into the painting as well. Like I spend 4 hours a night sometimes, because I can't get away from it, and I'm working all day. So like, it's like, there is a lot of time. I'm not constantly videoing those 4 hours, so nobody sees the hours. I'm just clipping one little 2.5 second of that, that progress. But like, it could have been 4 hours of pain and misery before that. Like, there is like, trying to get that face looking exactly the same as it is, or getting the color, or there's a lot of frustration in the background that people don't realize. So there is a lot of hard work in art. And maybe I am underpricing myself a lot, but like, I will gradually I feel like I'm learning, I'm still learning, I'm getting better as I'm doing each one, and maybe that price will, get better as it's going along.
I think the way you describe it, is I get, what would I say? I wouldn't think that from the way, like, it sounds like you've thought it through and it's what works for you. And exactly, everybody. And I think when it comes, I don't know, I think when it comes to art or anything, we all pay what we feel. I think the whole thing is an exchange of energy. Like, even certain things I do, I find it hard to charge for. And then you go, well, there is about the self-worth and your value. And then and that's something I think we all have to learn in whatever you're doing. And then you start to go, you feel better about it. You feel more authentic, and you're doing, this is okay. But in terms of the process as well of how, so like you were saying, you started before commissions, you would have just come up with an idea. I know it's like, you did a beautiful, I was just thinking of it today, that beautiful painting you did for the Saoirse event. back. So this was a beautiful painting of
Yeah.
a woman at the cliffs of Moher, and the energy of it always stay with me, because I was on the cliffs of Moher on at the weekend, and I was thinking about it. I was just like, oh my God, the
But
energy of it.
and like it was so weird the way that one came about, because Jerry just basically said to me, you know, I want you to paint something that I suppose maybe works with the whole
Theme
name of Saoirse, resident artist at the time, and he just said, like, you know, please, like, if you can at all, bring one painting to this, bring something that represents what we're all about, you know, here. So we had called the retreat a Saoirse retreat, and Saoirse means freedom in you know in Irish.
Yeah.
So well, I felt like I needed to create a piece that had freedom in it, but yet kind of represented Saoirse as, you know, as a name that we're a person or something, you know, that we'd relate to. So I started thinking of the, you know, like nature obviously straight away, but obviously the cliffs is only out the road for me, and I would find that like a very peaceful place. And so I started thinking of the dove, you know, that like it represents freedom, and so I felt like that needed to be in there in some certain way. But so Saoirse then to me was kind of a fairy. Like I always had a thing about fairies. I think there's a bit of a fairy in me anyway. But like
you have that quality about you. You do, definitely, definitely.
well, so I
Fairy.
kind of put her fairy like, you know, and you know, she obviously had the red hair for, you know, the whole Irish thing. But like I just think, so she was standing at the cliffs of Moher in this exact space, you know. I had like a picture of the cliffs that I was kind of going off of, you know, for that part of it, and then I inserted Saoirse, you know, letting go of she let the dove out of the cage, basically. And I felt that was I think that was a good sign for all of us, because we were all letting go of, we had all gone through COVID at the time. We were just, you know, kind of coming out the worst end of it. And I felt it did mean something. But the strange thing about it was, ye all went, like we arranged this, Jerry arranged the bus to bring ye all to the cliffs for, you know, a little spin up to have a look. And ye all took this photo right in that exact space. Like it wasn't intentionally done. Like it was literally in the exact same space. Exactly. As Saoirse was letting go of the, you know. So I just thought that's kind of nice. And Jerry even said it to me, and like Jerry wouldn't, like, you know, I suppose he wouldn't be like his thing is writing, you know. So like art to him could be, you know, anything. But like he was like, Jesus, he said, and that's just so weird, you know, that they all took that photo there. And like I hadn't even thought about it at that time, and I was like, oh my God, Jerry, yes, this is amazing. Yeah.
But it is it was the like that weekend as well. Just again, for anyone listening, they may not. It is what it is, and it happened. But how people come together, like it is. I just think that's the times we're living in. I just am seeing it and feeling it all the time, like with everyone every day. Like you're just going, how did that person just show up? Like
it is.
I think that is the key. We're meant to be in our sort of bodies, like what you said earlier, our intuition, our instinct, and feeling our way through life, not thinking your way through life. Like you don't think your life, you know, if you think of it, how we live, you know, I mean, yes, we could be thinking and worrying about things, but how do we experience it? We experience it through our bodies and how we feel things.
Yeah.
You know,
no, so, like I you know, I don't want to kind of say like everything happens for a reason, but I like in a way kind of don't. Like I don't know, it's kind of like something keeps happening. Like I was there the other morning and I was lying in bed, you know, doing the usual scrolling through Instagram, and I stopped on this like guy that was after he was after splitting up from his wife, and he was telling the story of how he bought his caravan. He couldn't afford anything else, so he bought his caravan to live in it, and he started to do so. It showed all the process of him, you know, doing up this beautiful caravan into a lovely space and then he had the two kids inside in the bed, and they were eating the cornflakes, and you know, it was all lovely, it was ideal. And I was going, oh God, that's a lovely caravan, like, you know. And I came off, and like half an hour later, my aunt rang me, and she was like, oh, I have this. No, this is the weirdest thing now, she said, that I'm going to say, but there's a caravan that I think you need to see. And I was like, are you serious? Like I literally, after watching a video on, you know. Yeah.
And had you been
I hadn't been thinking about it before that, but I just thought it was just like, and it could, obviously it could be just coincidence. There'll be people out there that'll say, "Oh, but that's only a coincidence." But I just love those little things that suddenly kind of go, "There you are now, Brian. There's your proof. There is something, something you're meant to have, So
go get that caravan.
Yeah,
like magnets, you sort of draw things to you. So this is how powerful we are. I think this is what we're learning through our mind and our energy. We do create our lives, like we genuinely do, don't we? Like the choices you make have an impact, and it's living in a powerful way than sort of, oh my God, life keeps happening to me and things go wrong. It depends how you look at it.
It does. Like I remember watching something, and sometimes when I'd be doing my art, especially when I first started off, like I could make a mistake and I'd be like really, kind of giving myself a hard time over it. And then I read something somewhere that some guy said, that's a happy mistake. So when a blob comes somewhere that you're not is supposed to be there, or in your head is not supposed to be there, it's a happy mistake. And then suddenly I've started kind of working in that way. So when that blob comes, I feel like, oh, well, what's that there for now? Because that's a happy mistake. It's obviously supposed to be there for a reason, but let's see what we can do about it. So I think that if you can think of everything in that sort of way, that like, even if you're having a bad day and something really shitty happens, say, well, this is a happy mistake because something good is going to come out of something bad, So I think that
it always does, doesn't it? Like like you have to sometimes go in. How else do we learn? They always say, like, how can you know happiness versus sadness if you've never been sad? You don't know how to compare it. Like that's the sort of world we live in, good and bad and up and down, and we have to sort of. But it as you said, and there's that artist as well that I met, she said something similar to what you said, that if she gets stuck on something or it looks, oh, that's awful or something, she'll leave it, go away to something else. And then it's like something else had to happen before she could go back and know what to do with it, or, sometimes we have to go off the rails, don't we, to come back and find her. How do you know otherwise? It's
exactly. It's just like, well, I don't know why you named your podcast Wild Women, but like, what's your interpretation of the Wild Women? I was thinking about the name today, and I was kind of going, like, I suppose my thoughts on that would be like, a wild woman is not afraid to make a mistake. That we're all out there, and allow ourselves to make a mistake. Don't always be so cautious and worried what people think, and this just make a few mistakes, make an idiot of yourself, just it's not the end of the world, and we learn so much from it. And the mistakes that we make, we can make it better for somebody else. That like, if I've made many a mistake in my life, but like, and I'll probably still continue to make them, but like, if that mistake, I can go, and if somebody comes to me and says, oh God, I'm after doing this, and I go, oh, well, I done that now a few years ago or whatever, and that I can give comfort to that person. I think the more mistakes we make, the better.
And if they are mistakes, I suppose that's another thing. Like,
are they mistakes? Yeah, exactly.
There are things I actually don't see anything as a mistake.
No.
We can have difficult times. I know what you're saying in what the world might say is, oh my God, that was a fail. Like, what is a failure? But I've sort of seen that through, or maybe the difficult times or the problems or the challenges, what you gain, like you said, isn't that what we're also here doing too? But I think I really like your take on Wild Woman. That is the making the mistakes and not being afraid. And it is that, because for me, I never had heard it described like that. You heard the feminine and all of that, and that's lovely. But there's because I started to feel it in myself, this like real fire, I suppose, is the only word for it, like a fire in me. I didn't know what it was for. It's like you describing your art, and I was going, oh, this is getting even stronger. And I was talking to this guy, the astrologer in the holistic shop. He's only a young guy, I was telling him this, like, the poor guy going, I really don't know what to do with this energy that I feel coming up. And he said, read Women Who Run with the Wolves, that book. And that sort of brought me into that sort of wild woman, because she talks about that, like the wolf, and I'm really interested in that, the whole wolf energy, and they're very instinctive and they're very intuitive, but they're wild and they're untamed, and they're, you know, it's all of that sort of wrapped up. It's not just a nice so I love that word, wild, because we're nature. I was going to ask you, what, in terms of if anyone's watching as well and would like to see your art or ask you to commission a piece for, are you open to that, and how should they contact you?
Yeah, so yeah, always open to it. And even if you just want to come on and say hi, you know, I watch this, and yeah, no, I'm on Instagram as Gráinne Kelleher art, and
Yeah, I'll share the links anyways below,
yeah,
and it'll
and
be on YouTube.
Facebook is just Gráinne Kelleher. I set up a Gráinne Kelleher art Facebook page, but I felt like I was kind of putting it on that art page, and then I was putting it on my own page, and then I got confused, and I was like, all right, I'll just throw it on my, like,
Just, it's all
that
you.
is
It's all you.
that exactly. I was like, isn't this all me anyway? Or whether I'm out in like taking a picture out in nature, or whether I'm putting up my art, it's all me. So there shouldn't be two different pages, you know. That's it. That's me.
Yeah. And do you have exhibitions coming up? I know you had one in, didn't you have one in Enniskillen?
I had one in Scariff there lately with a group of fantastic women. I have to say they're
That's
all
what I
very...
wanted to ask you. Another group, but I just said, yeah, that looked amazing. So that was that come out of Glowers? This was the group of women who had an exhibition.
Kind of did. There was a few women from Glore. It actually, like that now, things kind of came together. I was at a kid's birthday party, and I met this other artist at it, Mary Fahy, actually, and she was at it with her kid, and we just got talking, and she said, you know, I have set up this WhatsApp group for kind of supporting women, you know, artists, basically was anyone that had children, you know, that were kind of struggling but needed a little help to kind of say, come on, you can do this, you know, even with your kids and all this other work that you're doing. So I was like, she was like, would you be interested in, you know, joining that? I was after doing a Gráinne event actually, and she was asking me about it, and so anyway, just that kind of came out of that. So she added me to the WhatsApp, and then like as it went on, there was other women kind of joining. We went to the Glower. We were all in the same circle. You know, it's kind of like once you start, it's like there's suddenly you see this person there.
Energy, isn't it? Nearly takes over.
It's like,
there is sort of the power of the group.
I felt so alone for so long, and then there was all these artists, like they're all starting to come, like everywhere I go now, you know, like there's you know, there's one of them there. Like it's kind of like there's so many artists now. I'm like, oh my god, where were you? Like I thought I was the only artist. I thought I was sitting here in my room doing it all by myself, you know.
Not in County Clare. County Clare is just the landscape for artists and everything.
I know they're coming out of the woodwork, but it's great that I can actually finally know where to meet them. And it's all about finding your tribe, you know, and we've said it many a time, you know. And I think I have found a tribe that you know, they're great women. They're very supportive. They've all come from different kind of backgrounds in art. Like most of them, I think I was the only one that actually hadn't been to art college. So I suppose in that fact, I felt like, oh Jesus, am I an imposter here again? But you know, they were very supportive, brought me in, and yeah, at the end of the day, we all kind of did our little bit to help support the exhibition come together, and they made me feel like I was as worthy as they were, you know, to be there.
Oh,
so
that's amazing.
Yeah, no, and that's the support we all need to give each other. I think it really, you know, it's badly needed.
Yeah, that's great advice, though. It is find your tribe. And I don't see that, you know, it's not an exclusive thing of, oh, those people don't fit in, but we are all different. And I think this whole thing of going back to living tribally is a big thing as well. I think that's part of it. You know, we're not meant to be just in one big, you know, we sort of thrive when we're in small communities, don't we? In small groups. Like, yes, we're part of the bigger world, but we do need to find the people that we sort of, that are our tribe. And
like if you'd imagine us all in a stone fort or something, you know, back in the time, I go down to Mugon fort down, you know, near the market, and or Mugon, I think it's called. But sometimes I sit in the middle of that, and especially when the sun is shining, you can almost hear your ancestors behind you, you know, like, but like I can close my eyes and kind of see them all making their own little thing. And we all have our own little thing that we need to make now. So there's no, like, there's room for a million more artists, even though they're all coming out of we all have our own individual things. So we shouldn't feel like we need to compare ourselves to the next artist, or, you know, oh, I'm not as good as this one. Because I did go through a bit of that. I constantly looking at other people's art and going, oh God, I really don't belong here. You know, they're brilliant and blah, blah, blah. But no, we all have our own thing. We all need to keep pushing on, doing our own thing and supporting each other.
Brilliant advice. Thank you. Thanks so much, Gráinne. Yeah, no, thank you. Because that is the truth. There's more than enough space for everyone, isn't it? It's now more collaborate than compete.
Exactly.
The year of competing, I think, is over, and it's collaborate. We can create great things. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
and
thanks
any
for having me
final
on.
words?
No, just
I think that's the best words. Pardon?
Yeah. No, I was just like, keep plowing on, everyone, you know, and like, it's not always like, life isn't all, you know, jolly. Like, I mean, we all have our ups and downs. So just, especially the women out there, just, you're doing a great job. Keep going.
Thank you. Well, you're a great example of someone who's keeping it all going and following your heart and your passion and your art. So everyone watching or listening, please do check Gráinne's work out. It is just phenomenal. I was going to ask her to show some here, but then I thought, well, a lot of people probably will be listening, so we'll leave it. Go explore it yourself in your own time and space. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and thank you, Gráinne.